Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and begin with roll call.
Turn your mic on.
Lights on.
Oh, good.
Hopefully we're recording.
Test, yep.
So,
everyone but Ann Temple.
and Ann's excused. It was last month, she wouldn't be here. Okay. Next item is approval of agenda. Any additions or corrections to the agenda, Kevin?
No changes.
Okay. Do we have to have approval of that then? Is that okay?
Move to approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of the minutes from the October meeting. Then I had a chance to go through those. Any discussion? If none, we'll request approval of minutes. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Kevin, ready for the director's report?
Any questions from what we presented? Even after I wrote this, we're still waiting to hear from the Humanities Council on our ARPA grant application. But I guess we haven't been denied yet, and they had requested additional information, so I find that hopeful. Fingers crossed. So, and we still, for our state library ARPA grant, we are still waiting on some networking equipment that's back ordered. Supply chain issues, that's the common term being used these days. And for the library card design, you can see we had that many entries, and so later on we'll either Denny can appoint or somebody can volunteer to be on the task force to.
And what's the timing on when is the decision?
By December is what we published.
December?
Yeah, in December. I plan on ordering the new cards in January in the new fiscal year.
In
So-
time for the new order?
Yeah. Really anytime in December we can announce, and then we'll order the new cards in the new fiscal year.
So you want a board member to serve on a task force? Is that what you're asking us for?
Yeah,
today?
and that's one of our business items.
Okay.
So those were the minutes. And then Jean also, supplied a written report of what she's been up to. I will just also note, for the story walk item, there is a national association that has been advertising, send us information. We want to highlight story walks across the nation. And that online display just kind of was published this week. And Mitchell Public Library is the only library in South Dakota that submitted information about our story walks.
Good for us.
So.
I have a question. On the preschoolers from MB that visited, we got a note in there about how for some it was their first visit to the library. So what's a good way to try and convince them to come back? Do you do any sort of continuing outreach with them?
That's a really good question. It can work in a variety of ways. Historically, before COVID, then when summer reading program, would start, we would be able to give handouts to the preschoolers that would bring them home to their parents with all the information, at the library. And this would bring in several as well. Another angle that we've done in the past, but haven't done since COVID and probably won't be able to it until numbers go down, is in the past, part of my outreach story time was like to Head Start. And these are students especially, who are at risk. And Head Start each year would provide a family night where adults were encouraged to come, and the kids would say, oh yes, come and meet Miss Jean, come and meet Gilly, really mostly Gilly. So we hope to be able to work with that, as the COVID situation allows, because those family nights are a very good thing.
That's a nice idea.
But additionally, First Lutheran Preschool comes regularly.
Once a month now.
What-
That's great.
And did you say that MB was going to be?
First Lutheran did not come during 2020, but they have resumed now, so they come every month, and 39 preschoolers and, 4 helpers. I lead a story time, then they go into the library and each choose a book. And if you ever want to be a fly on the ceiling on one of those mornings, Lynn Vermillion has those kids. I mean, she runs a tight ship, and they come in, and the joy that they have for choosing their own book. And then an MB group came over, and I've never been able to make inroads into MB, but one of their teachers is the former director of the Howard Library that I've known for years. And she brought in a group, and those, for I think all but one, it was their very, very first time in the library. So that will be a group that I'll be talking with her, again, if the COVID situation allows, to have some sort of a family night, maybe at the, coming close to April and May. But my goal at some point, is to have library outreach in all of our preschools. So.
And it's simple for the First Lutheran to come. They just walk a block.
And with,
MB, they have to arrange transportation, and it has to be then something that they budget that transportation for. Because do they get the city bus?
they came with city transportation. Right, but that's what the teacher said to me. She goes, I hope we can come each month, but it all depends upon budget.
How many students are in the MB?
The MB group that came had 12 students. And that was, I think that their preschool is bigger, but that was the one woman's class. And they were 3 and 4-year-olds.
So if anybody knows anybody who wants to donate a big 15-passenger van to MB,
Yeah.
they could come to the library more often.
And the MB kids walk a lot, because they walked out here to City Hall, took a tour before, and that kind of thing. So they're not too far from the library, but from, what are they on, level?
They're on like between 14th and 15th, I think. They're
No, they're before.
Between 11 and 12.
12.
I think, yeah.
Between 11 and 12.
Oh, that's right, between 11th and 12th. Yeah, they're before the stop. They're before the stoplight. Yeah. So, and we're on 3rd, so it's 9 plus 3. Yeah.
In the block west.
Jean, I had another question too
Sure.
about the story walks. What's your schedule for doing story walks?
I always have to review the past to get to the present, but we did the fall story walk and the spring story walk downtown. Then in summer, early fall, we invested in some signs that we could use outdoors, and we made them for outdoor story time. Now we do them almost every week in the library, and this has been working really well because there are many, many families who are not comfortable bringing their preschoolers to any form of group activities because of not being vaccinated yet. So these are families who still come to the library but don't come to the Thursday story time. So this way they're able to participate in the story that we read each week, and they can pick up a take and make kit, but they don't have to be in close quarters with other families at this point. Interesting you asked that question though, because it's this fall I've been getting a lot of feedback from last fall's story walk from people who I don't even know, just saying, hey, are you going to be doing that again? So I think at some point I'd like to do something else in the city. I do need to refine our approach a little bit in a variety of ways and maybe give some attention to other areas of the community that we haven't before, like Highland Mall area, or something. I'm just throwing that out. But that is something I'd like to try again when the weather gets warmer. It's very labor intensive. It is worth it, but it really consumes a large chunk of time during the planning part. Mm-hmm.
Is there something where, say, a board member could volunteer to cut apart books or to help you to be like volunteer labor at some point?
The days of hanging signs are pretty labor intensive. A lot of the stuff that involves the time are getting the route set, and somebody else backs out, somebody else wants in, readjusting the route, hanging signs, realizing that somebody took their page down early, going back to them, hanging them back up again, and it's a lot of the nuts and bolts. But the big days of the hanging, that would definitely be a time that another body would be helpful.
Well, I'm here by volunteering.
Okay, all right, sounds great. Thank you.
My daughter who works downtown has said that they love having kids walk by and look at books. And she's noticed that she was just wondering how often it happens and when was the next one coming?
Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you.
You can put me down there.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, and so Jean has, done done two downtown, the south downtown, north downtown. In the summer, she did multiple ones in the park during Thursday story time, and we've done some in-house in the library. Looking at some of the submissions from libraries around the country, some of these places go all in.
Oh.
No, they have permanent story walk structures where they have a big metal pipe attached to concrete coming out, and then an enclosed, angled display where then the 2-page layout can be in there, and then 500 feet or more down, and some were like in parks. I was thinking Kiwanis Park would be kind of an interesting place if, we ever had funding for, something like that. People could go walk in nature, but we also found, and Miranda's a testament to it, that the downtown, the businesses like having the traffic too, so.
I think that's one way that we can continue to contribute to the greater community and be part of the community, is by involving the businesses. And the outreach that occurs when I'm hanging signs, when I'm reaching out to people, I've come to know a much greater part of the community than I ever have. And then while hanging, people ask me questions. Customers ask me questions. This is why it takes so long to hang signs, because I'm the library, so each place can sometimes take, at least 20 minutes to half hour, because a lot of questions do come up, and it's a great way to talk to the community. So I think there's as much outreach there as it is during the story walk itself.
Even the Kiwanis Club or the Exchange Club or folks like that may be willing to help in different capacities too.
Plus, don't forget the economic development. When Jean was hanging the signs last fall, then she bought a pair of shoes at the shoe store.
And my husband bought me a 35th anniversary ring. We lost money in the Patrick household.
I'm just thinking there's resources out there. Kiwanis and Exchange, for example, if needed hardware, right? Like actual money, resources, but just human resources as well with some of those service clubs that would be willing to go out and help with different.
I'd be willing to help you too, it depends on what it is, of course, but.
Okay, all right.
Just thinking about what you said there about the places that go all out and have the little hole in the sign and stuff.
that kind of smaller project would be something that we could apply for a grant to the Mitchell Community Foundation for, you know, that would be the kind of thing that maybe
Yeah.
they would be willing to
fund.
to fund, yeah, if we get to that point.
I mean, one thing we would have to, think seriously about is if we really want to do something like that, because that would be a big commitment to, well, or, if we did it, along the, wherever, and we wanted people to get out and walk in nature, but then we would have to keep refreshing, the books so that like every month there was something else where, the way we're doing it now and going to different areas in town, it's somewhat labor intensive to make those contacts, but, we don't have a lot of hardware invested, and we can then say, okay, next time we want to go to a different location, and if they're willing to put the story in their window, there's again that partnering.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, we can certainly talk about. There are advantages both directions, but if we have them out at the trails or something like that, it certainly is great for the people who are out there. But does it reach as many people? Are we involved in the community in the same way? So those are, pros and cons on either side, And I can always overthink everything.
Okay, Kevin, based on statistics.
Did anybody have any questions about statistics, where we are? You can see, or not, that in a number of areas we're closing in on where we were last year. Gate count, we never had a gate count before this year, so we don't know that. But, for total circulation, we are going to surpass last year, which is good, but still will be under historically. Program attendance, I think I'm very pleased with that, and the number of programs. We have 2 more months of data or numbers to collect, but through October we've already offered more programs than we did last year, and for YA and adults we've offered more. Children's will be there after this month, and then in attendance for adults in YA we have quite a few more, almost double the number of youth and double the number of adults who have participated. So I don't know if you can see that, but youth this year through October 1,369, and last year 781, and for adults this year 169, or 1,069, and last year 509. So children will probably be under, but last year we had such high participation in the daily Facebook story time that Jean did. And then just graphically, again, that's circulation, so you can see last year, this year is down from previous years, but this year we're going in the right direction. And our monthly, hourly traffic continues the same pattern that it's pretty much been all year, where that first hour has been our highest number of people in the door. And again, this last other is mainly like before 8 o'clock. Denny, the custodian, comes in at 6, so kind of between 6 and 8, or 6. So he goes in and out a lot. Wi-Fi, we were down a little bit, and then revenue were higher than last year, already higher than last year. And program participation, children's program participation. And again, this is the comparison. The blue was 2020, and the blue is, again, last year high because of all of the online stuff that we started in March. You can see it really jump up. But then the yellow has been, I think, strong for this year.
What did we do in June?
Well, June was, all of the summer programming and the programming that was in the plaza.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the statistical part of the report.
Anyone have any other
We just
questions?
counted the people and not the animals.
We have a motion to approve the director's report.
So,
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. On to the financial report and approval of bills.
Okay. The bank account, 106,244 at the end of the month. 3 transfers in from PayPal, 53, 55, 33, and some cents. And weekly deposits. 1 check for the materials for the read for the record. That was the one item from last month that we paid for. And then the library, the detailed stuff, so I'll just we typically forego that, so I'll just page through that. And then, again, here's now back to the board account. Here's our revenue for the month of 1177. Book sales was the highest. Pop machine, was 31. We had a credit because we had paid. We had gotten 2 bills and had paid the one, and then they had given us a credit. So they sent us a check. So we're all paid off. We're to 0. And Chesterman's has taken over, like I had reported they would. They finally did a month or so ago, and they've changed from plastic pop bottles to just pop cans, and they've reduced the price. It's 12 ounce. And so instead of people paying $1.75, they can come and get a can of pop for 50 cents. So I think I've seen more people at the pop machine. And then they are supposed to give us a cut. So subscriptions, memberships, were the third highest. Copies was the second highest. And again, that.
and we had a meeting room rental?
We did. We won't get many of those, but, for-profit groups have to pay.
Yeah.
And this was a financial planner rep that was looking for a place to have a seminar, looking, to get some clients, more clients. So, I'm not sure if I really want to do that again, or if we should do that again, because then you may all have gotten some flyer in the mail, because we got it at home, and it said, come learn about Social Security benefits or whatever at the Pitt Mitchell Public Library. And just the way they worded their flyer, their marketing information, it sounded like it was being put on or sponsored by the library. We got a few calls of, is this the library putting this on? And no, they're just using the space. But they ended up getting, I think about the number of folks they had expected to get, so they were happy with it. 2 representatives from Senator Rounds, Sioux Falls office, were at the library this morning for about an hour and a half doing constituent outreach. And I guess before COVID, they had done that. And now they're starting to resume that. So they were here for that. And then our library budget at the end of October for, hi, Stephanie.
We're having that issue, I'm just looking at numbers.
Salaries were about 73%. For current expenses, we're at 77% total, and for the capital outlay, we're at about 73. So we should be fine for these last 2 months. So that's any questions?
Okay, if not, I'll request a motion to approve financial report and the bills.
I so moved.
Second.
Further discussion?
One item, yeah.
Yes.
And it happened this 4 or 5 years ago. We got kind of down to the end and ordered books and we didn't get invoiced and they got pushed into the next year and we got to try and avoid that.
Yeah. We will be not doing any, well, all of our orders will be,
Creates hardship
yeah.
over there. It didn't create a hardship on this board.
yeah. But by mid-December or so, we won't be doing, we will cut off ordering and, yeah. So,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, on to business items, and the first business item is determine committee member for library card design contest. You seeking one member from our board?
well, unless multiple board members want to participate, but we were thinking that a committee of 3, Zach, he's kind of graphic design, he has some of those abilities, and then Allery, our new cataloger, would sit, and then if we had a board member, but if there are multiple board members who want to sit in on it, that would be fine. I'm not going to, because I have collected all of the entries, and so, I recognize some entries of who submitted them, and I want it'll be a blind, contest or selection that the selection committee, won't have names of the entries, just the artwork.
I feel
And,
like this is a job for Ann and Danny, as the chairs.
it could easily go to a board member too that has an interest in it.
I'd be happy to do it, but I'm not artsy at all, like stick figures, so anyhow, they're all gonna look really good. But I'll be happy to. Not all of them will.
Well, Deb has an interest, we'll have a deputy or a member from the board.
Okay, so Denny, who is chairing the meeting, has appointed Deb.
On to the next item then, to approve funding requests for November.
Jean Patrick has submitted a request of $250. She's running low on prizes for reading incentives for the children. And so she would order those from Oriental Trading Company.
Move to approve the request.
Second.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Further discussion, all those.
Who
in
got the
favor,
second?
say-
Wait, who got the second? Steve, you're not good,
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried. On to the upcoming holiday schedule, Kevin.
Okay. Last year, well, we weren't open on Sundays, but then last year, you all approved that we would be closed on Saturday, December 26th, which we would have been open 10 to 6. But this year, Christmas is on Saturday, the 25th, and the 26th Sunday, we really don't expect many people would come. They'll still be playing with their new toys and games, and to be open Sunday afternoon for 3 hours seems to be kind of not worthwhile. So we are just requesting if you would approve being closed that day.
Do I have a motion from the board?
And what about January 1st and 2nd. Are you thinking January 2nd?
We are thinking that day will probably be more likely people will come.
Address that
G-
in the December meeting?
Well, we would plan to be open that day. Gene said, people will party Friday night, the 31st. They'll spend Saturday recovering, and then Sunday, those
Be a library.
New Year's resolutions, we're going to start going to the library Sunday afternoon.
Yes, yes.
And so, we would plan to be open on the 2nd. Unless you all think that it's not worthwhile, but I think that day there'd be more chance of.
I would move to approve the closing on the 26th.
26th.
Stay open on the 2nd.
Okay.
Further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
January 2nd, just side note.
Yeah.
January 2nd might be a really fun day to do some kind of kickoff, like a reading challenge
Yeah.
or something.
That's right. And I think, speaking for Zach, I think he has his adult one all ready to go, and we may have a junior one to go along with it.
I was just thinking
Book
of a lot
off.
of when we do kickoffs, because it is a day off, and it's, I mean, that's a leisure day, so that might be a really fun day to have some kind of programming. Out of the ordinary, like a once a year, literally once a year type thing.
Next item,
This is to approve the new, or approve library rules of conduct. We tabled this, or we didn't act on this last month. We wanted the two of you
I think
to
you did a very nice job of
to be
rewriting
here.
it.
And we pretty much borrowed most of this from Sioux Falls. We ran this by Justin, and he was okay with it, except he did have us remove the bullet about bringing guns to the library, because Steve can fill us in on that if he would wants to, but.
No. It's hitting a bunch of city departments. Whether you know it or not, last year the state legislature passed laws that took away, that gave the state the authority to determine where firearms are allowed and not allowed. And municipalities were removed from that authority. So municipalities cannot have that language for rules or other things regarding firearms. So there were 3 or 4 areas in the city that had rules that related to that we had to remove them. And as I talked with somebody at work today on that, it's not a Second Amendment jump up and down type thing. It's the city council people, mayor, some of the department heads have taken an oath of office and said, I have to uphold the federal and state laws, and that's what it goes to. So if the state made that law, if you don't like it, talk to your legislators and try and get it changed. So we're just trying to make sure we
Yeah. No, I
have the
thought-
right wording in place and aren't violating state law.
Right. No, I thought the policy was nicely done.
So,
I would move to-
there,
It's got one type
no, I have one, I found one typo. I need to put in an of there. Hey, English teacher, did you find that?
I did not,
I reread it this afternoon in preparation for the meeting, and I thought,
but I
so,
really like the sleeping for longer than 30
well,
You'd be surprised.
and we just, we've had some people who come in, and they'll just sack out all afternoon, and
No, I'm with you.
no, so,
Yep. No, I thought all of it was logical and made
So.
sense.
I thought it was
okay.
I had Ann Kelly read it to her, she approved.
okay, one question I just had, said in the food and beverages area, containers with lids are permitted. Does that mean not even staff can walk around with an open cup of coffee? Just,
Who would do that?
Who would do that?
I keep it in my office. So,
I think it's a
I
good
don't,
policy.
yeah, I guess, I mean, staff could have, travel mugs with,
A pop can.
Pop can is-
a pop can, we consider that, yeah, especially now that that's what is sold now. That's a small opening that the rest of it is covered.
So does that mean that I can bring in my little Tupperware of food and I can take my lid off and eat it?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
essentially what we're saying.
Yeah, yeah. We don't want people bringing in their McDonald's,
Yeah.
sack of food or, whatever, or a pizza, having a pizza delivered
I've seen
and
kids bring
eating
little
it.
baggies with
Yeah.
goldfish and,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. So,
any other questions about the policy? Seek a motion to approve. Diana, second?
Second.
Steve? Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carried. We have no committees?
can I ask a question about that? I mean, this is in because, we changed the bylaws of the board, and, and Stephanie, when I started, said, we had to, whatever was in the bylaws of the structure of the meeting, we had to put, and so, do you think this should be removed, and I bring a edit to the bylaws and just strike that out, or do you care, or we just do what Ann and Denny normally do? No committees met this,
There might be some time we have a committee.
There might be a
Yeah.
possibility.
yeah,
If the city has it in other areas, I think we should keep it and just bypass it.
okay.
Do I have to report? I can report on my library card design, that would be a report.
Well, yes, that will be
Task force,
next
just
month.
like a committee.
I will let you report on that next month.
Okay, no citizens input. We're up to adjournment. We can have quick meetings.
Yes.
Look at that.
Okay, again, the next board meeting will be set for December 21st, and Ann should be back for that, 5 p.m. here in the city council chambers.
Kevin, would it be possible to have a Zoom for that, or actually be attending that?
I will set up a Zoom. I will put,
Skippy. I sure am. And,
December 21st.
We are adjourned.
yeah, the 21st, so that's Tuesday before Christmas.
And I have to say, Kevin, I finally got the library on a Saturday. I love the new fiction, that whole big, long, the library looked awesome.
Where we have our new,
All
yeah,
the new ones, instead of
New.
the thing up front, and looks awesome.
good, thank you.
The whole thing, children's department, I checked.
Watch it,
Wait.
watch it. We gotta watch out for these weird people.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
I think Zach
I-
was there.
Unaccompanied.
I know,
Must've been at lunch.
I know Denny adjourned the meeting,
Or maybe it was all.
but can I have all of your permission to make Deb's comments in board input instead?
Absolutely.
And the budget was passed, and our additional part-time salary money is in there, so we'll see if we can build on that for the next year.
Okay,
Great.
and I will put that in board comments too, even though we
Because the
are,
information we have in comparison to the other cities and that type of stuff, I think we need to use next year. But we need to have a plan of what that would mean we're doing, and I think some of the, when our people are there and all that type of stuff, and how many programs and that.